I'm being joined on the program by public affairs analyst, Mr. Jide Ojo. He joins us from Abuja studio. Mr. Ojo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. Good evening, Geoffrey.
As an aside, I don't know whether you had the opportunity to watch the presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Now, there's an argument between what age can do to someone, or the issue of age, as well as the issue of credibility in terms of the records that Donald Trump pushes out. So on one hand, people are worried about the health status of Joe Biden also, but Donald Trump seems strong. But they fact-check him, saying that some of the things he said, you have to check again. But that's not my question. My question actually is, shouldn't we, given what has played out yesterday night, it's now clear to the voters and to even politicians as to the kind of decision they will make, who will be their candidate. Whether they go on with it or not is a different kettle of fish. But in Nigeria, it's not a culture. Don't you think we should adopt this so that we have a feel of the people we're voting for, whether as a president or governor? Some governors won't show up. Our president did not do much of TV appearances, apart from the one he did in Chatham House and a few others locally and all of that.
Well, unfortunately, there is no law that compels presidential candidates to make themselves available for debate. It's not in any of our law, not in the Electoral Act, not in the Constitution. So it's their prerogative whether they want to feature or not. Even yesterday's or this morning's debate in U.S., which I was privileged to watch, I knew, I mean, people were saying, Joe Biden, you asked for this, but you perform below par. So you could see that even the one that is reluctant to accept the challenge is the one that triumphed, according to the polls, after the debate. And of course, there are concerns that are being raised now on the need to substitute Joe Biden, given that he was stuttering, he was losing his train of thought, and people are worried. A president that sometimes allegedly falls down after picked up at 8-1, whether he actually doesn't deserve to go and rest. He's done enough in public service. He's been in the Senate of U.S. since 1976 or thereabout. For over 30 years, he was in the Senate representing Delaware. Then he got elected alongside with Joe and Barack Obama for 8 years. Now he's doing his 4th year as the president. I think that is a public service that one should be proud of. But I'm not too sure. If it were to be my father, I would have asked Joe Biden to voluntarily withdraw from the race. And in as long as there's still a window for substitution, it possibly should allow somebody who is younger and more vibrant to run the race. It's not too late to know when to quit. Because he's doing this
my apologies, Mr. Ojo. My apologies, Mr. Ojo, so that I can get as many questions to you as possible. I just need to highlight that, given the fact that maybe we need to adopt it into our laws, where it will be mandatory for presidential candidates and governorship candidates to come out and share their thoughts, articulate their thoughts to us, so that we'll make a decision. Because if that did not happen, people have been saying a lot. Maybe we wouldn't have seen what happened yesterday. I know governors who, no matter how much you invite them, no matter the national platform, they would not show up to talk about this. But that's America's issue. Let's come to our own issue in Nigeria, which is the first question I want to ask you. When the president made those bold decisions to remove subsidy as well as unify the exchange rate flotation, or the Naira flotation rather, it was hailed that he was brave and bold. But do you think that, looking back now 1 year after, that is hurting his presidency?
Definitely it's hurting his presidency. I was one of the very few Nigerians who gave him thumbs up for removing the subsidy. But it dawned on me that he didn't do his own work properly. Perhaps with the benefit of hindsight, instead of announcing on his day of inauguration that subsidy is gone, he could have used the period between that May 29 and the end of June 2023 to do some audit of the state of preparedness of Dangote refinery and the Port Harcourt refinery that was under turnaround maintenance. Because as it has happened now, our political office holders have been lying to us about the state of that Port Harcourt refinery. They said ab initio that it was going to be ready by December 2022. Then they said first quarter of 2023, then second quarter of 2023. And then the next thing you had is, by the end of 2023. All of these have been missed. Now we are approaching the third quarter of 2024. And mom is the word from Port Harcourt refinery. So if you're having this challenge of reform, how then do you withdrew the subsidy, knowing full well that this is a product that is inelastic. Inelastic in the sense that you cannot do without it. There is no substitute for it. More so with the epileptic state of electricity, people are duty bound to buy fuel to power their generator or their grinding machine, or one way or the other, even if you do not have a car. Now, the president didn't do that homework. He just relied on the handover note, and perhaps with the briefing he received from the civil servant, and he took that decision. Now he's hurting him, because the approval rating of his presidency in his first year is very, very low. Very, very low. And he said we should not pity him. Then the floating of the naira is another ill-thought, ill-timed exercise in my own view. You want naira to find its level. And I must also say, before I forget, that these are Bretton Woods institutions' prescriptions. These are prescriptions from World Bank and IMF. Oh, remove subsidy. Oh, remove, float your naira or float your currency. You know, even after the electricity subsidy removal for band-aid customers, the IMF is still telling Nigerian government to remove subsidy completely from electricity. So you could see how this is hurting the presidency of President Tinubu. And of course, I've said it on several media platforms. If you listen to these Bretton Woods institutions and you do not sieve it, you do not sieve what you are being told, you will risk unrest in your country. Look at what's playing out in Kenya. They want to increase taxes. There is rising cost of living. The president went to US. Allegedly, they said he spent 200 million Kenyan shillings to visit US. He came out and debunked it and said he only paid 10 million Kenyan shillings. But the rising cost of living, the fact that more people are dropping under the poverty line has made it. I mean, I saw the footage today. Over 1 million people marching on the streets of Nairobi and giving President William Ruto sleepless nights. Just a few days ago, some people died when police allegedly shot live bullets into the protesters. While that bill on the raising of tax was being considered. So we do not, if you do not want to risk that in Nigeria, we know there have been several protests in Nigeria, even in the course of this year. But luckily, President Tinubu has not had the kind of protest that is going on in Kenya on his hand. And I pray he doesn't have it, which is why I will commend him for this economic relief package that was rolled out yesterday. And it will be like it saw my mind. On Wednesday, in my column in the Punch newspaper, I wrote about the challenges of food security and safety. And I raised a number of questions. And I asked what the state governments are doing in terms of supporting the federal initiative in food production. Now the president has given 7 days within which all the 36 states and FCT should give him their plan for increase in food production. 7 days. He wants to know areas that he could support them to achieve. And I've also taxed Nigerian military, including Nigerian police. They should not think their job ends with physical security, making sure that there is an end to banditry and all of that. A section of Nigerian military can also go into farming to increase food production, because they will be able to police and ensure security for those farms. No bandits will dare go near such farms that is owned by the Nigerian military or Nigerian police. And that's my motive for saying that they should also participate in farming activity.
I think I have just about 5 or 7 minutes to end the show. So let me throw in a few more questions. And I'm happy you mentioned the issue of subnationals. They've gotten extra monies now with the removal of fuel subsidy. We see monies being shared in trillions now. So more money for them. The president has also approved 10 billion for CNG buses. Remember, there was a 5 billion approved before now for food, but they released 3 billion and all of that. All of this intervention, given what we've seen that happen with the humanitarian ministry, does this really move the needle? Does it really work?
Well, I mean, Geoffrey, sincerely speaking, I think the federal government is just playing, I don't want to say they are playing Ludo or they are playing ladder and scale and ladder. If you go back in time, President Tinubu, in his July 31st nationwide broadcast, that was when he first moved the idea of infrastructural support fund for states. I didn't hear him say he has given X amount or Y amount to any of these 36 states. That was when he talked about CNG buses. On July 31st, he talked about CNG buses that he said by March 2024, this I think it's 3,000 CNG buses will be procured and distributed. Now it will be like a photo phase. If I can, I hope I'm right on that pronunciation, that he has recounted. Now he wants to give 10 billion to each of these states to go and procure CNG buses. So if this had been well thought out ab initio, then you will not have raised Nigerians' hope that there is any CNG buses coming between August and March 2024. Because we haven't seen any of these CNG buses on Nigerian roads. So it will be like a rethink that, okay, let me give this 10 billion to all the 36 states and let them go and procure their own CNG buses. Now he has also pledged some money for purchase of about 155 billion for procurement of grains. And where are you going to procure these grains? You are not producing enough. Now, when you want to import this foodstuffs, whether you are talking of grain, rice from Thailand or from wherever, or you want to bring in maize from Niger, you are not going to use Naira. That will also bring pressure on the Nigerian currency. That is why food importation has been bad for us. Under Buhari, we were told that we are spending over $1 billion on food importation. Now, this federal government initiative that, okay, go and procure, go and buy this 155 billion naira worth of grains. Where are those grains from? Where are you going to buy when you are not producing enough? So definitely you are going to make smuggling to be attractive, because what will then happen is that many people who could not meet the local demand, the local purchase demand, will go outside of the country and see whether they can get it through the illegal entry means. Because going far to Thailand, to India, to Malaysia to get some of these grains will take longer period, and then you are going to use foreign exchange to buy those food items, and definitely that will bring pressure on the foreign exchange, which we do not have in good quantity. So I am of the considered view that government needs, but I will commend Tinubu for at least this consultation. As was said in the report, this is the first time he's attending National Economic Council meeting. It has always been chaired by his Vice President, Kashim Shettima, but he took time off to go and attend and chair that meeting yesterday and gave a marching order. But you see, none so deaf as those who will not hear. It's one thing to give order, to make pronouncement, but from history, even in the last 1 year, there have been several orders that have been flouted by the people he gave those orders to.
If I may butt in, okay, you landed on your thought. Just 30 seconds so that we wrap this up. Is President Tinubu doing a good job as president of Nigeria so far, in your view? 30 seconds.
It's a very dicey thing to say, right, yes or no. He's doing his best, but he needs better coordination. And that's why I'm not seeing much of the input of the 48 ministers that he has appointed. And then the consultation with the subnationals has been very shallow at best. It's not been very deep. This is the kind of consultation that should have led, that should have nosedived into declaration of state of emergency on food security, which he did on June 13, 2023.
Right.
If he had carried the state along before making that declaration about on the emergency on school food security, perhaps we will not be in this kind of situation that is just giving them 7 days within which to come up with a roadmap or blueprint. But let's commend him for what he has done. He's trying his best. He's trying to roll out some relief packages like the 50,000 for 100,000 families out of every of the 36 states. It's also a welcome development. 50,000 for 100,000 families in 36 states and FCT.
We're totally out of time.
Families. And
we're totally out of time.
That would be a good thing.
Implementation is how we will assess how well or not well at the end of the day. Well, thank you, Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, joining us from our Abuja studios. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the invite.